So this video is just for educational purposes. I'm just asking questions. We know, or at least most people know, that the menstruation and menstruating has changed for many women. The science says it's because they got COVID. And it's the spike proteins, because the spike proteins bind to estrogen receptor sites. So this alarms me a little. That's why I'm asking this question. So let me explain how in lay terms, try to, how the estrogen receptor site works, okay? Because again, think back, we have this whole because I've asked questions, well, it always gets taken down, but about because of puberty with kids and then all of a sudden they want to change. I don't know. Yeah. You just can, if you're semi-awake, you can get where I'm going with that, right? Because, all right, let me just read this. I'm trying to be careful. I'm not trying to be not understandable. It's really too bad we can't just speak freely. Once activated by estrogen, the estrogen receptor is able to translocate into the nucleus and bind to DNA to regulate the activity of different genes. It is a DNA binding transcription factor. However, it also has additional functions independent of DNA binding. As hormone receptors for sex steroids, steroid hormone receptors, androgen receptors, and progesterone receptors are important in sexual maturation and gestation. So women have, and then there's been these menstruating problems. But we know, because the science says that, there's many articles like this. This is 2022. The SARS-CoV-2 spike protein binds and modulates estrogen receptors. Then you have women that are having these menstruating problems. So science says, well, yeah, it's because you got COVID. But it can't possibly be, because they admit that this has spike proteins, because that's mainly what they studied with the virus, was that. So they don't hesitate to say that it's spike proteins, but they say this. Let's talk about spike proteins. Spike proteins made by vaccines are not dangerous. They are different from the ones found on the surface of SARS-CoV-2. Okay, it's science, they're experts. And they were so expert that they're the reason we got this virus, because of their gain-of-function research in Wuhan. I mean, does it not line up why the science has been obsessed with knowing people's genome? Knowing all of the... Let me go a little further here to what can happen with what's called, I'm gonna say the abbreviation. It's an excess syndrome of aromatase, but for short, AES. AES or AEXS is a rare genetic and endocrine syndrome which is characterized by an overexpression of aromatase, the enzyme responsible for the biosynthesis of estrogen sex hormones from the androgens, in turn resulting in excessive levels of circulating estrogens and accordingly symptoms of hyperestrogenism, so an increase. It affects both sexes, manifesting itself in males as marked or complete phenotypical feminization, with the exception of the genitals. No, and in females as hyperfeminization. So, what do we have going on now? Men wanting to be female, or kids. Yet, it's a different spike protein in these. That coming from the same people that pretty much created this, because it would gain a function means that they added a function to like a natural virus. They added a function to it. It's not the first time they've done it. This is why we don't. This is why I go off on this stuff. Is because it's the reason we don't have cures, and we have more viruses, more autoimmune disorders, all this stuff. And instead of them figuring out how to fix it, no, they're tracking it. And this I can tell you, any nurse can tell you, this is how it is for these vaccines. So unlike every other shot, I many years ago I was a flu captain. So anybody that wanted a flu shot, I would give it to them, but I had to put their name in the special place in the computer, and I had to type the lot number in and the expiration date. Now, most shots, I draw them up and give them. I mean, I scan the drug, but that's it. But these are lot numbers because each box is a lot number tied to that name because, well, it's being tracked. So why would it be being tracked? You could figure it out for research reasons. So that's a given. Like if I give a shot of Benadryl, I don't have to do all this. I just scan the med, and it just goes in that it was Benadryl. But with any vaccine, yeah, it has to be the lot number and the expiration date, and with that person's name, because that lot number is tied to them, and they know. Because not all lots are bad. So it's always been an ongoing with these, with them, okay? But then there's this. In 2023, the rates of miscarriages have seen a significant increase of 15% compared to the previous year. 15% increase. Yet there's also been this problem with menstruation for women. And that's all hormones. So of course, all this would happen if you have spike proteins that have binded to the estrogen receptor sites. Now science, of course, because I'm just a lay person, right? I don't have all those letters after my name, but I would at least be smart enough not to do gain-of-function research. But anyway, they would come up with all these reasons why I'm wrong, because the same people that said, oh, they don't know anything about this virus, well, they were over in Wuhan doing gain of function. So they absolutely, so, even if you want to take this away, okay, they're responsible either way because they allowed it to release. We've had too many of these releasing of these gain of function things. That's why this is why Trump wanted to cut funding to research, because of how out of control it is. So miscarriage rates in 2023 have increased, as I said, by 15%. Approximately 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. That's how advanced we are. 1 in 4. This just goes over, what the reason, some of the reasons. But I think it's kind of an obvious answer here to me, if you're a logical thinker, to increase in miscarriages 15%. Chromosomal abnormalities are the leading cause of miscarriage, really. Like abnormalities, like intersex in a way, but just on a worse level. I don't know. Just abnormalities, huh? Stress and lifestyle, in certain medical conditions, smoking, all that. Yeah, Northwestern put part of this out. Yeah, that great Ivy League university, and said stress, the pandemic stress, can affect your period. Well, if you knew the pandemic was going to cause stress, then why did you go along with locking everybody down? Yeah, it's so dirty, all of it. I'm disgusted.